Two lines that lie in the same plane but do not intersect are called parallel lines. You can kind of think of them like train tracks, where there are two lines that go on forever but are always the same distance apart. Parallel lines will always have the same slope but different y-intercepts. And by that, what I mean is that they'll cross the y-axis at different places. In that case, we consider those parallel lines. So in this case here, the two lines cross at the y-axis at 0 and 3, so they're at different intercepts, but they both have the same slope of negative 2/3. So this would be an example of parallel lines. So let's determine whether this quadrilateral ABCD is a parallelogram. If you recall, a parallelogram is a quadrilateral where the opposite sides are parallel. So if I can show the opposite sides have the same slope, it has to be a parallelogram. And what I do is take this first side. Again, find the slope, subtract the y values, divide by subtracting the x values. So the slope looks to be 3 minus 4 over 3 minus negative 2. So 3 minus 4 is negative 1 over 5. So negative 1/5. The opposite side would be so your negative 2 minus negative 1 over 5 minus 0. And that's equal to negative 1/5. So in this case, the top side and the bottom side are parallel. Now let's see about the left and right side. So the left side, the slope is 4 minus negative 1. And I divide by the negative 2 minus 0. So this would be 5 over negative 2. Okay. And the right side, the slope, difference of the y value, so 3 minus negative 2, that's 5. And the bottom would be 3 minus 5, and that comes out to be 5 over negative 2. So the left and right sides have the same slope. So is this a parallelogram? Yes, the opposite sides are parallel. So yes, it is a parallelogram. Another type of classification for lines are perpendicular lines. Lines that intersect to form four right angles, that is, angles that measure 90 degrees, are called perpendicular. Lines are perpendicular if their slopes are negative or opposite reciprocals. So in the example I see here, one slope is at negative 5/4, the other is at positive 4/5. So the sign has changed and the fraction has been flipped. In that case, if the slopes are like that, that's perpendicular lines. So let's complete this table. If the slope is 5, the parallel slope would be 5. The perpendicular slope would be negative 1 over 5. If the slope is negative 1, the parallel slope is negative 1. The perpendicular slope would be negative 1 over negative 1, or you could just say 1. If the slope is 1/6, the parallel slope is 1 over 6. The perpendicular slope would be negative 6 over 1, or negative 6. If the parallel slope is negative 3/8, the parallel slope would be negative 3/8. The perpendicular slope would be positive 8 over 3. And if the slope is 5/7, the parallel slope is 5/7. The perpendicular slope would be negative 7 over 5. Okay, so let's find the slope of a line perpendicular to the line that passes through 1, negative 4 and 8, 4. So I want to find the slope of this line here. And what I'm told is that this is perpendicular, so I have right angles between these two lines. So I guess the first step then is I know these 2 points, so I can figure out this slope here of the dotted dashed line. So that slope would be 4 minus negative 4 over 8 minus 1. And that comes out to be 8 over 7. Okay. So that means the other line, the line we're actually asking about, that's going to be the negative reciprocal. So that's going to be negative 7 over 8. And that would answer the question. And finally, let's use slopes to determine if the triangle that had vertices at 7, 1, 0, 4, and -6, -6, as you see here, let's determine if this is a right triangle. So the question then is right here, is that a right angle? And a quick way to do that is to compute the slopes for those sides and see if they're negative reciprocals of each other. So the slope for this one between A and B, that's going to be the difference of the y values. So you can go 1 minus 4 on top and 7 minus 0 on the bottom. That's -3 over 7. Okay. On the left side, between B and C, the slope would be, I guess, -6 minus 4 over -6 minus 0. So that's going to be -10 over -6, or 5 over 3. 5/3 and -3/7 is, well, those are not negatives. Well, they're negatives of each other, but they're not negative reciprocals. So this one is not a right triangle.